let's give a warm welcome to Bobby and Kaity today. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. Basically, as Taylor mentioned, my name is Bobby, and actually my full name is Bobby Sudbury, and I am the executive director and co-founder for the organization called Kaity's Way. My husband and I co-founded this organization based on our own family tragedy that occurred. And one thing that we found in the last 7 years since doing this is people fall into maybe one or two of three different categories, okay? And the first category I'll mention is that, you know, a lot of people attend these presentations and they're all about healthy relationships. They come in knowing their relationship's healthy, they're good to go, the people that they have relationships with is healthy and all that, and that's great, that's exactly what we want. We appreciate that that's happening, and Lord knows I want to retire someday, so the more we can get that to happen, the better. But we've designed this presentation so that people, even though you are in a healthy relationship, that you will be able to help someone in an unhealthy relationship and understand the fine line there to helping someone else. Because see, what we found statistically, okay, we surveyed 4,000 young people ages 13 to 18 years old, more than 4,000 throughout here in Arizona. And 47% of them said they have known someone or know someone in an abusive relationship. Okay? So chances are, with those kind of numbers, you may very well know someone in an abusive relationship. Okay? Now, if you do know someone in an abusive relationship, more likely they're a friend or family member, we love them, we care about them, we want to help them, right? Well, sometimes in trying to help them, we cross that fine line and we end up hurting them. Okay, because we want to help them so much, all right? So this presentation will help you understand what that fine line is and what you can do to help them, okay? Because you truly can help them. And what you can also do as a bystander, okay? Sometimes we're bystanders in these cases and we don't know what to do, all right? The second category somebody may relate to or may find that they are in, after seeing this presentation, is that they may realize that they are a victim in an abusive relationship. But they may initially came in not thinking they were a victim, okay? And that's because a lot of people think that abuse is just physical, okay? They don't realize that by the time a relationship becomes physically abusive, it's already gone through what I call the mental beatdown, okay? Where there's verbal abuse. It starts off with verbal abuse, it goes emotional, and then it goes psychological, all right? Now, I'll tell you, the mental beatdown is really hard on somebody, okay? So a lot of people come out of this presentation realizing that, wow, some of the verbal, back and forth with someone else that they're in a relationship with is not healthy. And they realize that they're a victim in an abusive relationship. And the first thing I want anybody to understand, if you know someone in an abusive relationship, or if you realize that you're a victim in an abusive relationship, the first thing I want you to know is that victims are never to blame for being in an abusive relationship. Never, ever to blame. Okay? Does anybody want to take a guess why that might be? Why is it that a victim wouldn't be to blame for being in an abusive relationship? Yes?
Well, other than like the first relationship abusive, like it starts, the abuser is usually nicer to them and learns to to it and then isolates them. So they can't really, they would see coming and it's there and it's out.
Right, yeah, exactly. And quite honestly, let me ask you this. Who is the one abusing? Is the victim the one abusing? No, so why blame them, right? But you will have people blame victims for being in an abusive relationship. And one of the things that they'll ask is, well, why does the victim stay in the relationship? Why do they continue to have a relationship with that person? Okay? And that in itself is basically putting the responsibility on the victim. Well, I'm here to tell you that they have reasons for that. Okay? They have very valid reasons of their own. Because see, all of us who are on the outside looking in, we don't know that the victim has not been threatened by the abuser in some way. Okay? We don't know that the abuser hasn't threatened to hurt the victim's family or maybe the victim's animal. Okay? For young people, oftentimes what an abuser will do is they will start rumors and say really mean and nasty things. Now, does anybody want a rumor started about them? Yeah, it hurts when somebody's talking smack about you saying ugly things, right? But that's what an abuser will do, or they'll hold over the victim's head. Okay? So, instead of asking the victim, why do they stay with the abuser? Why don't we ask the abusers, why do they abuse? Why don't they stop abusing? Doesn't that make more sense? It puts the responsibility on the abusive person, doesn't it? Okay. So, the second thing I like to mention to victims is I like to let them know that, you know what? You can become a survivor. Everybody can become a survivor of an abusive relationship, and I say that with all the confidence in the world because I am a survivor on various levels. All right? I was a kid raised in an abusive environment. I saw my mother abused. I saw my aunt abused. When my aunt went to my mother's aid, and me myself, I almost lost my 8 fingers because of an altercation between my mother and my stepfather. Okay? So the abuse wasn't just limited to my mother, it was spread out to us kids. Okay? So then at the ripe old age of 18, I get married. Okay? And, well, lo and behold, that relationship's abusive. My ex-husband was abusive. Okay? Why? Because that's what I grew up knowing. That's what I learned. I thought that's what relationships were about. Okay? So, you know, after that, I then become a survivor of homicide, meaning somebody in my family has been murdered. All right? And most recently, I'm 5 years post, I'm a survivor of breast cancer. Okay? Yeah. So the reason I tell you all that and share that with you is because I want you to understand I'm just a regular person. I'm your everyday type of person. There is nothing incredible about me. I'm just your average person. But I am a survivor on many, many levels. Okay? And those are just the high low points. Okay? So there's a whole lot of other crazy stuff in between. All right, so the third category somebody may relate to after seeing this presentation is they may realize that their behavior is abusive. Okay? They may, and I've had young people approach me and explain to me how their behavior is abusive. Okay? And all I say to that is, you know what? Realize, recognize, and accept responsibility. Okay? Because then you can fix yourself. Then you can work it out. Then you can move on to better things and have a healthy relationship. And I also want you guys to understand, okay, this is not just a guy on girl thing, okay? It is girl on guy, okay? I've seen girls be abusive and controlling with guys. I've seen girls be controlling with each other. I've seen guys be controlling with each other, okay? It knows no boundaries, all right? No religious boundaries, ethnic boundaries, or anything like that, okay? All right, so the way we're going to do this is I'm going to share Kaity's story with you. But I'm going to share it with you through a video. Okay, does anybody ever watch the Investigation Discovery Channel? Yeah? Have you seen Stalk, the movie, the show Stalk, someone's watching? Yeah? Okay. All right. This particular episode is about Kaity's story. They came out to my house and they did an episode on Kaity's story. Okay? I am in the video, Kaity's friend's in the video, as well as Senator Payton's in the video. And so while the video is playing, I will exit the room because I lived through this. And basically, I lived through it on my own, and to watch the video is a little bit too emotionally charging for me. After the video, I'll come back in. It's only about 22 minutes, okay? After the video, I'll come back in. We'll go through a PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to tie it all together for you. We're going to talk about the pattern of an abusive relationship, okay? We're going to talk about a safety plan, how to create a safety plan. We're going to talk about some certain red flags that fly under the radar, okay? We're going to talk about what you can do as a bystander, what you can do to help a victim or an abuser, and also what you can do to help yourself if you find that you're a victim or an abuser, okay? Has anybody here heard about Kaity's Law? Okay, one person. All right, cool. So basically, you're going to learn a little bit about the law. This law is very applicable to you, okay? And I promise it won't take a whole long time, okay? And then we're going to also talk about what are the elements of a healthy relationship. So I'm not going to stand up here and tell you what you shouldn't do, what shouldn't happen, and all that stuff, right? I'm going to also give you the tools, okay, through our peace, rights, and responsibilities on how to have a healthy relationship, okay? And it is relatively simple. It's really easy. It's so much less stressful and everything, okay? So does that sound like a plan for everybody? All right, excellent. let's get this started.
They became high school sweethearts,
She loved him, and she thought that he loved her.
but she would soon find out that his idea of romance was anything but innocent.
He's obsessed with her. He wants to possess her.
It was very scary. We were afraid for her life.
This is Kaity Sudbury's story, when first love turns deadly.
I'm Dr. Michelle Ward, and I'm a criminal psychologist. I was stalked, and I'm not alone. Over 3 million people are stalked every year in this country. Although many survive their ordeal, others don't. These are their terrifying stories.
She was running fast and hard. I know she was. She was running for her life, but he just pulled her down off the fence. My heart dropped immediately.
Kaity Sudbury is born in Tucson, Arizona in 1990. Growing up, Kaity has a passion for living life to its fullest.
Katie's a very vivacious, beautiful young lady.
She was happy. She was very kind-hearted and very generous.
Katie and I had a special relationship. I enjoyed watching her just grow into the beautiful young woman that she is.
By the time Kaity enters high school in Phoenix, Arizona, she's a model student and determined to make something of herself.
She was very intelligent, very good in math, good in science. Actually, there wasn't anything she wasn't good in.
She had a lot of dreams, had a lot of ambitions.
In September 2006, at the start of her junior year, Kaity meets fellow student Daniel Berg. The teens click instantly, and it's not long before their friendship blossoms. By December, they're a couple.
Daniel Berg was Katie's first boyfriend, and she was excited about it. Daniel treated Katie just like a little queen. He would open doors for her, and they'd walk into school together.
And when Kaity brings Daniel home to her parents, he dazzles them with his charm.
He shakes my hand, he shakes my husband's hand. He's very polite. He seemed like a very nice young man.
But Katie's happiness is short-lived. By May 2007, after only 5 months of dating, Daniel's picture-perfect facade begins to crumble.
He started getting a little possessive. He would call just consistently, needing to know where she was, who she was with, if she was talking to any boys. Very controlling behavior.
I don't know where you are. Kaity hopes he'll go back to being the charming boyfriend she'd known in earlier months. But sadly, Daniel only becomes more possessive and paranoid.
He would get upset if she didn't answer the phone or if she didn't answer his text message fast enough. He'd say she was cheating on him. He would just literally have a fit.
What's going on, Kaity?
I would talk to her quite often about, you know what, that's not appropriate. He shouldn't be talking to you like that or acting that way towards you. You shouldn't be putting up with that.
But whenever Kaity seems close to her breaking point, Daniel launches into an over-the-top apology.
He'd say, I'm so sorry, I just love you so much. And so she would forgive him. And it would be good for a few days. And then, boom, you know, Daniel would hurt her again. The bottom line is, I believe she loved him, and she thought that he loved her.
She wasn't ready to break up with Daniel. She didn't want to admit that there was an issue with him.
These acts of possession and control are red flags in any relationship. But when you're new to this, somebody being this interested in you is almost flattering to Kaity. It must seem like he really, really loves her. This is her first relationship. She doesn't have the experience to know that this is bad and it's only going to get worse.
As each month passes, a determined Daniel tightens his hold on Kaity.
Kaity received hundreds of calls and texts every day, from the time she wakes up till well past after she's gone to bed.
Caitlin was very upset. I could see her stress level increase.
Then finally, by December, it becomes clear it's much worse than anyone thought.
I found a good-sized bruise on her back. Caitlin said she fell, and I quickly told her, I don't believe that at all, and I feel that you should tell me the truth, and she would not tell me.
But Lauren can read the truth all too clearly. Daniel's violence has reached a whole new level.
It made me furious that he put his hands on her and hurt her, like physically brought her harm.
Fearful for her safety, Lauren and Kaity's family decide to stage an intervention.
We sat her down one night and let her know, you need to realize Daniel is capable of doing anything, and if he can't control his temper now, who's to say he won't control it down the road?
This is particularly tough for Kaity. She's being abused and she's not necessarily recognizing it. She's lucky that her parents, her family, and friends are seeing these signs and recognizing that this is a very unhealthy situation and are encouraging her to remove herself from it.
Finally, Kaity realizes her family and friends are right. And after 7 months of constant harassment, Kaity breaks up with Daniel.
She told him, this is it, I can't have a relationship with you anymore. She had it. I can't do this anymore.
My thought was, we are done with Daniel, we'll never hear from him again.
But it's far from over for Daniel, and his rage would set into motion a horrifying chain of events no one could ever have imagined.
When he started getting violent with her, he started showing the kind of person he really was.
He's literally obsessed with Kaity. He's definitely not letting go.
By December 2007, Kaity Sudbury has broken up with her abusive teenage boyfriend of 1 year, Daniel Berg.
You could tell a weight was lifted off her shoulders.
She was so proud of herself, she felt great.
But to everyone's dismay, Daniel refuses to accept that the relationship is over.
He was still calling her, trying to get a hold of her. We did change her phone number, and he still managed somehow to get her phone number.
Fed up, Kaity is determined to show Daniel that she's free from his suffocating grip. She decides to return all of the gifts he gave her while they were dating.
She wanted to be done. She didn't want any reminders, nothing. So she gathered everything up in a garbage bag, and she put it in her car. I said, do you want me to go with you? She said, no, I got this, I'm good.
But as she drives into the parking lot near Daniel's house, what happens next takes Kaity entirely by surprise. Out of nowhere, Daniel appears and jumps into the car's passenger seat. He begins to scream at Kaity, demanding that she get back together with him. But when Kaity refuses, Daniel goes berserk.
It was very scary. He got aggressive with her to the point where he grabbed her hair and pulled her hair out. Kaity completely freaked out.
A passerby witnesses the horrifying confrontation and calls the police. Officers arrive on the scene, but surprisingly, they don't arrest Daniel.
I don't think they take it seriously because of the youth, the ages involved. It's a couple young people, they don't know what they're doing. They basically ignored it.
Just because Daniel's a teenager does not mean he's not dangerous. There are shocking statistics about violence in young relationships. Girls aged 16 to 24 experience 3 times the national average of violence between dating partners. That's crazy.
That was very, very scary for her. She came home, and Kaity didn't cry very often. And she was crying, and that really broke my heart.
Desperate to get rid of Daniel once and for all, Kaity's stepmother and her friend, Lauren, take matters into their own hands. They drive back to Daniel's house with the bag of gifts he'd given to Kaity and confront him.
I put his things on the ground and said, well, Here's your things. You have nothing at Caitlin's home anymore. You have no reason to come back. He got upset. He got aggressive, like he was coming up towards us. He was definitely bullying us. I was nervous. I had no idea what he was capable of now.
But Katie's stepmother is determined to keep him away from her daughter.
I was not afraid of him. My blood was boiling. This whole 6 months of dealing with his belligerent, nasty behavior had totally built up. I just looked at him and I said, you know what? I'm really tired of you messing with my daughter. Leave her alone, okay? Because I'm tired of this and we're ending it now.
To Bobby's utter astonishment, her threat has an instant effect on Daniel.
He backed down when I got in his face. He wouldn't come within 6 feet of me.
Katie's stepmom and friend are trying to show Daniel that they are surrounding her, they're going to protect her. Sometimes bullies back down when they get confronted, but remember, nothing's changing in Daniel's head. Daniel is showing the same kind of violent, aggressive behavior that we see with seasoned adult stalkers.
Kaity won't breathe easy for long. And what Daniel does next will shake her to the core.
He just could not let go. It was only a matter of time before Daniel would hurt her again.
She didn't see the dark side until it was too late.
By December 2007, high school senior Kaity Sudbury has finally broken up with her abusive boyfriend of 1 year, Daniel Bird. But when she tried to return some gifts, he viciously attacked her.
It was almost like she was numb at this point. You know, numb to the whole thing. She just wanted it to be over. She wanted it to be done.
She was definitely frightened just because things kept escalating.
Kaity pours herself into her schoolwork and actively avoids Daniel. She's counting down the days until she will graduate and leave for college.
She was accepted to Northern Arizona University. She was absolutely thrilled.
She wasn't going to let anything stand in the way of her future, her dreams, and all the things that life had to offer.
But Katie's hopes are suddenly dashed when something happens that shakes her to the core. On January 17, 2008, Kaity is at school when out of the blue, Daniel ambushes her.
He walked up behind her and he stripped her backpack off of her and screaming at her, why is she doing this to him? She's completely freaked out. She's scared.
In a panic, Kaity immediately notifies the school principal, who suspends Daniel from school for 5 days. But as soon as Daniel is back, he attacks Kaity again.
She breaks away from him, she reports him again, and this time he's expelled from school.
I was very relieved just because she would go to class and not worry about him waiting for her.
But relief turns to fear when the following day, Katie's stepmother gets a shocking phone call.
It's a police officer from Phoenix PD, and he says, ma'am, you need to go get an order of protection for your daughter. And I said, really? Why? Well, Daniel is starting to kill himself and your daughter.
According to the officer, it was Daniel's mother who called to report this alarming threat.
If Daniel's own mother is reporting this to the police, you know he's out of control. This kind of threat is very serious, and police should absolutely act on it immediately. A young stalker like Daniel reminds me of a young rattlesnake. A young rattlesnake is more dangerous than an older rattlesnake because it has more venom and less of an ability to control itself.
To me, it was so shocking. I was very afraid for Caitlin's safety.
Her stepmother wastes no time in filing for the order. But in court, the judge deals an unexpected blow.
He says, I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't give you an order of protection. Your daughter's relationship with the young man does not fit the relationship guidelines of the law.
Kaity is falling into this awful legal black hole where the state of Arizona would only grant restraining orders to people who had been domestic partners. Katie's 17 years old. Of course she lives with her parents. Of course she doesn't live with her stalker. By 2008, most states did recognize dating relationships in their definition of domestic violence. Here we have Kaity, who is obviously in danger, and boom, Arizona law drops the law.
The law didn't protect her, and I just have to believe it was devastating for her and her family.
I am literally beside myself because I'm just like, what do? You reach out for help and you get nothing.
To make matters worse, Daniel has disappeared and no one can find him.
It was just stressful because we didn't know where he would pop up.
The Sudberrys decide to keep Kaity home from school and make sure there is someone with her at all times.
She can't go anywhere without one of us. We're sticking to her like glue.
But even these desperate measures are not enough to shield Kaity from Daniel.
You just see this train wreck happening, and it just makes me heartsick.
We were afraid for her life. We were literally afraid for her life.
Since breaking off their relationship 1 month before, Daniel Berg has relentlessly stalked his ex-girlfriend, Kaity Sudbury. Now, he's made a chilling murder-suicide threat.
It's one of the scariest things, not only for Kaity, but for her family, because how can you stop somebody who's willing to die to do what they want to do?
Meanwhile, Daniel has vanished. Katie's family is terrified he'll be back any second, so they keep her home from school with round-the-clock supervision.
We weren't able to locate him. It's utter frustration. This kid is out just walking around, and my daughter, on the flip side, it's like she's grounded.
But Kaity can't stay in lockdown forever. She worries that missing classes might put her college acceptance at risk.
Kaity really wanted to go back to school. I said, "Are you sure?" She says, "I'm good. I've got to ride to school. I've got to ride home from school. Mom, I'll do what I need to do to protect myself." And I said, "All right then, well, you have a great day, and I love you."
On January 28, 2008, Kaity returns to school. Even though Daniel's been expelled, she remains on high alert. But when Kaity doesn't see any signs of him by the end of the day, she starts to let her guard down. So much so that when her ride home is late, Kaity feels secure enough to walk home alone.
She was confident she didn't think anything was going to happen.
But as Kaity approaches her home, she has no way of knowing her worst nightmare is about to come true.
Daniel must have been laying in wait. She's like 25 feet from our yard.
The shock of seeing Daniel outside her home turns to sheer terror when Kaity sees what looks like a shotgun sticking out from Daniel's duffel bag. Scared for her life, Kaity takes off running.
She was running faster than her. I know she was. She was running for her life.
Kaity makes a desperate sprint towards her neighbor's house, trying to escape over his backyard fence.
But he just pulled her down off the fence.
There's no way for her to escape. He takes out the shotgun out of the duffel bag, and it's all of your fears suddenly realized.
Kaity suffers a single gunshot wound to the head. But Daniel isn't finished yet. He puts the gun in his own mouth and pulls the trigger. They both die instantly.
He tried to control her to the very end, and once she was gone, he had no other purpose, and so he ended his own life.
People often say they didn't see this coming, but in Katie's case, everybody saw it coming. Daniel showed every sign of being a deadly stalker. He harassed her, he called her incessantly, he physically abused her, he followed her around, he threatened to kill her. Kaity got protection everywhere she could and had no recourse under the law.
Katie's neighbor discovers the bodies and immediately calls police. Meanwhile, Bobby gets a disturbing call from a friend.
He said there's been a shooting in the neighborhood and 2 people are down. My heart dropped immediately.
Bobby's worst fears are confirmed when a detective knocks at the door.
You're still hoping. you're having that little ray of hope. And I said, is she gonna be okay? He said, no, ma'am, she's deceased. Worst thing you'll ever hear in your life.
I lost a friend. She was someone I could talk to. She was someone I could confide in. It's heartbreaking.
That day, our lives were shattered, literally shattered, and what we knew as normal no longer existed.
Soon after Kaity's murder, her story catches the attention of Arizona State Senator Jonathan Payton.
I was talking with someone from the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, and they told me about Kaity Sudbury's story and asked me if I wanted to meet Bobby Sudbury.
Together, they helped pass what is now known as Kaity's Law.
Kaity's Law is real simple. Those in dating relationships have protection under the law so long as it's romantic or sexual in nature.
Senate Bill 1088 being approved will not bring Kaity back, nor will it mend our broken hearts, but it could very well prevent another family from suffering the heartache we endure every day of our life.
It was ultimately Bobby's testimony and her story that convinced lawmakers to change state law.
I feel very strongly that this is what she would want. I wouldn't have done it otherwise.
Today, Bobby Sudbury leads the nonprofit organization she founded, Kaity's Way. She travels across the country sharing her daughter's story to educate people about the dangers of violence and stalking among teens.
Okey-dokey. So, any comments or concerns about the video? Do you believe this happened?
Yes.
Would you believe it only happened about 13 miles from here? Yeah, not far at all. And the reason I let you know that is because basically the bottom line is, it can happen anywhere, anytime, to anyone, all right? The end result happened on a Monday in the middle of the day, okay, right outside our house, okay? All right, so let's talk about it a little bit, all right? First, I want to ask you, does this happen in your community? Now, I am not talking about the end result. I'm talking about what led up to it, okay? What led up to the end result? The verbal abuse, the the emotional abuse, the psychological abuse, the isolation, the possessiveness. Do you ever see this among your friends, or their boyfriend? Let me ask you this: how many of you are actually dating in a dating relationship? Do we have any daters out here? Yeah. Okay. How many of you know someone in a dating relationship? Yeah. Quite a few, okay? So when you see things going on with your friends in their dating relationships, do you ever feel like it's a little bit possessive or anything like that? Yeah? From time to time? Okay? So yeah, this kind of thing does happen in communities, okay? All the time. I mean, I've even been out to dinner and seen it happening between a couple or whatnot. Okay, so would you consider this a private or a public matter? Public?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both?
Kind of starts out private and goes into public, I think.
Okay.
When he
Yeah.
starts doing it in public, then.
Well, and here's the thing, okay? Now, what may have happened in Daniel's house, okay, when he was growing up and everything like that, yeah, that could be considered a private matter. All right, very private, okay? But see, the thing about it is you don't really date your parents or your siblings, right? So in order to date somebody else, you got to step out that front door, don't you? That's where it becomes public. Because the minute Daniel stepped out that front door and perpetrated on my daughter or anybody else, made it very public. Okay? So it's predominantly a public matter. Okay? It really is. All right? The next one is who was affected by this behavior? Who do you think was affected by what happened to Kaity and Daniel? Yes?
Kaity, Daniel, and anyone close to them.
Anyone close to them? Yes, absolutely. How about the kids they went to school with? How about the community? Do you know we actually got a card of condolence or an email of condolence from England? I don't know anybody in England, okay? But that's how far-reaching it was. Let me ask you this, are you all affected by it now? Did it kind of wake you up a little bit? Yeah. Okay? It affects everybody. That's who it affects, okay? So here's the pattern of an abusive relationship, okay? Now, this is a pattern here that has 5 elements. It can be considered a little complex, especially when it comes to comparing it to the pattern of a healthy relationship. Because see, the pattern of a healthy relationship is, oh, my little guy's not gonna work. The pattern of a healthy relationship, yeah, it starts off, it's all good, okay? And then with a healthy relationship, you have a rectangle down here with arrows going straight back and forth saying disagreement / frustration, because those happen in relationships. Because see, in healthy relationships, people know how to handle disagreements and frustrations, so it goes right back to it's all good. In an unhealthy relationship, not so much, all right? Yeah, you have it's all good in an unhealthy relationship. Because let me ask you this, you go out on a date or you go to hang out with a friend for the first time, okay? And you guys decide you're gonna go to the movies. And you pick out this movie that both you think is gonna be funny, you go in, you watch the movie, you come out, and you're just like, wow, that's 2 hours of my life I'm not gonna get back. Okay, you're not real tickled by it, but your friend is just busting up. They're cracking up, they're laughing, they're like, that was so funny, I thought it was hilarious when he or she did that, blah, blah, blah. What about you? And you're just like, well, not so much really. I really didn't get it, you know, and stuff like that. And all of a sudden they just go off on you. They're like, well, what's wrong with you? What are you, an idiot? What, you got a problem? No sense of humor? Maybe they shove you or something. Is there going to be a second date? You ever going to hang out with that person again? Not me. Okay? Absolutely not. So of course they start off all good. Because everybody's trying to put their best foot forward. They're trying to be really nice, be really kind, charming. You know, you want that person to like you and everything. So you're going to do everything you can, right? Well, in an unhealthy relationship, what eventually happens is the person that's got abusive tendencies, they will, they will become very possessive and jealous or get very upset and frustrated over things that just really don't make any sense, you know? When Kaity, and Daniel did just that, when Kaity didn't answer her phone fast enough, when Daniel called, he was just incredibly upset. And oh my gosh, don't let voicemail come up, because he's not leaving a message. And if he does, it's pretty darn nasty, okay? Let's see, if she was caught talking to somebody that was not Daniel approved, okay? He wants to tell her who she needs to talk to and stuff like that, all right? And then texting. Texting was huge, absolutely huge. She would get so many texts from him, it was ridiculous. And one time her and I were out shopping, mom and daughter shopping, right? Having a great time. The first 45 minutes of that shopping trip, I swear he texted her 100 times. Want to know where she was, what she was doing, how long she was going to be there, who she was with. Now, what do you think he should have done the minute she said, I'm with my mom shopping? Yeah, have fun. Text me when you're done. What? Right? No. What really happened? Yes, he got mad. As a matter of fact, I asked Kaity, I said, honey, I said, it's just you and I. Will you please just turn your phone off? You can turn it back on in a couple hours. Well, she did just that. What do you think happened when she turned that phone back on a couple hours later? It was on vibrate, it was making noise, it had the ringtone going. Can you imagine? Oh yeah, it was just like this. Just like this. Honestly, I thought it was going to roll legs and run away. And based on some of the text messages that he left her, if I were that phone, I would have rolled legs and run away. Okay? Because they were pretty nasty. Started off, why aren't you answering me? What's going on? Who are you with? And they started calling her names. And then accusing her of being with a dude. Okay, last time I looked, I'm not a dude. But you get what I'm saying? Just ridiculous. And who was he arguing with for those 2 hours? Yeah. How strange is that? I do talk to myself, but they're relatively great conversations. Okay? I'm usually pumping myself right up. You know what I mean? But you get what I'm saying? He's just frustrated and upset. So Kaity would stand her ground. You don't get to talk to me like that. You do not get to treat me that way. Okay? I'm not talking to you for a couple of days. little mini breakup that goes on, right? So then he starts missing her, and he starts the apology phase. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I promise I won't do it again. Really, really, I just love you so much. I care about you. I worry about you all the time. I'll change. I really will. I'll change. And while he's giving this apology, he cannot be nicer to her. He can't do enough for her. He's giving her beanie babies, little pieces of jewelry, you know, the whole thing. Going back to that charming person he was in the beginning that she fell in love with, right? So what do you think she's thinking? He's changed, yeah. Okay? He's changed. He's gone back to that wonderful person that she fell in love with, right? Okay? So she accepts his apology and it goes back to it's all good. All right? The thing about this pattern here is each time it cycles around, his behavior escalates more and more each time. Escalates. And just keeps escalating. So much so that this yellow part shrinks up like an old rotten apple and this red part right here takes over. And the victim feels like they're just walking on eggshells all the time, pins and needles. Is this the kind of relationship anybody wants to have? No. Okay, been there, done that. It's no fun, okay? All right, so here's some red flags to look out for. But the first one is what I call the 24/7 rule, all right? This is when, okay, when you first start in a relationship, yes, you do spend a lot of time with that person. You're either on the phone with them all the time, or you're, you know, texting them all the time, you're on the computer with them, you're trying to get to know them and everything, and, you know, it's really cute because you guys fall asleep on the phone. You're like, you know, you fall asleep, and then other times you're just like, well, you hang up. No, you hang up. And then you guys get really quiet, and you're like, did you hang up? You know, so, you know, and that's all in the beginning, and that happens, okay? But see, after a certain amount of time, it needs to level off, and I'll tell you why. How well can you know someone without being in their skin? Think about that. I mean, how well can you possibly know me without being me? You're only going to know me as well as I'm willing to let you know me, right? So yeah, it should level off. But see, when there's somebody with abusive tendencies in that relationship, what happens is they don't want just 24/7 at the level off time, they want 25/8. They want more and more and more, okay? They don't want you spending time with anybody else but them. And they have a problem when you spend time with anybody else but them, okay? A good test of that is they call you and they say, hey, what are you doing tonight? Well, actually, I was going to hang out with my mom, or I'm going to hang out with my brother, or I'm going to go here with my friend, okay? Somebody that's healthy, they're going to say, oh, okay, they may be a little disappointed, that's okay. Okay, well, you know what, text me when you're done, or, you know, hey, you want to try and do it some other time? Right? Sounds pretty healthy, doesn't it? An unhealthy person? Oh, what? You'd rather hang out with them instead of me? What's your problem? Or was it something I said? Did I do something? Oh, I'm so sorry. You know, just tell me what it is. Really? You don't want to hang out with me tonight? Okay? These are different variations of what you're going to hear from somebody that's not secure. They're very insecure and they have an abusive tendency, okay? Don't get caught up in that 24/7 rule. Don't start thinking that, oh, they love me and they think I'm all that in a bag of potato chips. That is an exercise of power and control, okay? The next one is, they make derogatory comments towards you. They call you names. They put you down. Now think about this. This is somebody who's supposed to love you and care about you, yet they're putting you down or they're calling you names? Okay? Now, name calling is pretty obvious, but there's some pretty slick ways to put people down. You know, like say, for instance, you do really great on a math test, and you come bouncing out of that class and you're just like, well, I really nailed that test. I studied so hard for it. I'm so happy. I'm going to go get me a soda. Anybody want to join me? Okay? All your healthy friends are going to high-five you and they're going to say, yeah, I'll meet you down there. Okay? Somebody that's unhealthy is going to say, you know, I don't know what the big deal is, because that test really wasn't all that hard. That's not nice. Even though they weren't brutal about it, it's still not nice. You're up. They need to be lifting you up. They need to be telling you, hey, you are all that in a bag of potato chips. You are awesome. You are so smart right now. You're the smartest person I know right now. Anybody who cares about you, anybody you're dating, your friends, they should always be encouraging and empowering you and nothing less. And you shouldn't accept anything less, okay? The next one is they dislike your family or friends. Okay, this is a move towards isolation, okay, which you mentioned earlier, okay? Yes, it is a move towards isolation. They don't want you having anything to do with your friends, okay? They don't want you having anything to do with your family, okay? So they're gonna have an issue with them, okay? And they're going to do things to drive a wedge between you and your friends. They're gonna tell you that, quite possibly, I don't know, maybe you have a friend that's been talking smack about you, that they overheard them. Or maybe they're gonna go to your friend, and they're gonna say to your friend, hey, you know what, I'm dating so-and-so, well, guess what they told me? They're gonna tell them something really nasty or mean. You know what I'm saying? With family, oh yeah, they'll do things to try and drive a wedge between family. Dan used to call our house randomly, and it didn't matter who answered the phone because I answered it one time, and he says, do you know your daughter's a bisexual? Alrighty then, okay. Hey, I'm telling you, I am telling you what, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this? Hey, let's throw a party. What the heck? You know what I mean? And then when that didn't work, a few months down the road, when I realized it started getting physically abusive, they're having a disagreement that turns into an argument, okay? She pulls out her phone because she's not one to stand there and argue with somebody about something that really doesn't matter all that much. She wants to call mom or dad, me or my husband, and say, come get me. He snatches her phone from her. Okay, two things here. The first thing is, in the state of Arizona, if you're in an altercation with someone else and they snatched your phone from you, they just took your ability to call for help away from you, which is a chargeable offense. Okay? All right. Second thing is, if somebody came up here and snatched this from me right now, I would consider that physical abuse. Okay? Because they invaded my personal space. They have no right to snatch anything from me. And more than likely, because I've got it in my hand like I do, like I would hold a phone, they grabbed a hold of my hand in some way. Okay? So not cool. Well, he brings up text message, brings up my number, brings up my husband's number, and he sends us this text and it says, Mom, Dad, this is Katie. I've been a bad girl lately. I've been having sex with older men, doing drugs, and drinking a lot of alcohol. Yeah, I got this text message in the middle of the day. And I'll tell you what, I thought to myself, man, this kid thinks we're stupid. Genuinely thinks we're stupid. And I sent him a text back. I said, you need to give Katie back the phone. He broke it in half. In a matter of a few months, he broke her phone 4 different times. So yeah, he was definitely trying to isolate her. Okay? And the last one is they tell you what to do, how to act, and what to wear. Now think about this. If you're dating someone, aren't they right around your own age? So, do they really know so much more than you that need to tell you what to do? Isn't that what you have parents, aunts and uncles, teachers, coaches and whatnot, people that are older, more experienced, that are guiding you through life for? Somebody that you're dating, somebody that you're hanging out with, you need to have fun with them. And them telling you what to do, that's not fun, is it? Okay? So think about these things. Parents, grades dropping. Indicative of a lot of things, the teen dating violence is one of them. Okay? And look at your child's demeanor. Alright, watch their demeanor. You know them better than anybody in the whole wide world. Okay? You'll be able to pick that out. Good time to open up the conversation. So how can you help? How can you help if you're a bystander? Well, let me tell you, bystanders have the power. You certainly do. Absolutely. Okay? Now, I do not advocate ever getting between two people having an issue. All right? I've done it. And one time I got hurt physically, the other time I got hurt verbally. All right? So I've, learned, and what we advocate is to create a distraction. Now, you kind of think, how can you create a distraction? Because, let me ask you, in the video, did you see all kinds of people walking by assaulting her in public? Why do you think they just walked by? They felt it wasn't their business, yeah? What was it? They didn't want to get hurt. Okay. Do you think maybe they did want to help? Yeah. But you think maybe they just didn't know what to do? That they just didn't want to make it worse? I've been in that position. Okay? Well, see, what we say is create a distraction. Create a distraction. And I'll give you an example. All right? Now, if you're by yourself, okay, I'll give you 2 examples. If you're by yourself, and I'm by myself and I'm walking in this hall at school or something like that, okay? And I spy these 2 young ladies going at it. They're having an issue, right? And it's escalating, and I see it escalating and all that. Okay? Well, I'm going to kind of just mosey on up over here. I'm not going to get too close, but I am going to get in the general vicinity, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, oh gosh darn it, I grabbed the wrong book. What am I thinking? I'm going to the wrong class with the wrong book? What has just happened? What are these two doing? Yeah, they stopped, right? Is that not my objective? That's my goal. I want them to stop, okay? And what's, oh, thank you, sweetie. And I actually broke one time. But so they stopped, okay? And usually when you're in a heated argument and you stop and get interrupted, oftentimes you can't remember what it was, right? So maybe they'll go on about their business, okay? But see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it one step further. And I'm going to go to someone in authority, like a school resource officer, or administrator or something like that. And I'm going to talk to them and let them know who I saw and what was going on. Okay? Because here's why I'm going to do that. One of these two can end up like Katie. One of these two can end up in jail. Okay? By me having somebody talk to them, or talking to somebody about talking to them, it's possible that that won't happen. Because as much as the victim needs help, the abuser does too. Do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, say for instance you're with a friend, okay? And I'm going to use these two ladies right here. And these girls are going at it, and I'm with a friend. Okay, will you step up and work with me? Okay. And I'm going to be like, okay, what's your name? Laura. Beautiful name. Okay, Laura, you see these two girls going at it? Okay. You know what? Hang back here for a second and just follow my lead, okay? All right. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mosey on them. I'm just going to be as slick as ever. And I'm going to get in the general vicinity and then, kind of like act like I'm talking and everything like that. And I'm going to realize that Laura's not around. And I'm going to be, oh, Laura, come on, let's go. We got to get to class. What are you hanging out for? Let's go. You know what I mean? Again, what are you guys doing? You're stopping looking at me like I'm crazy, right? And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine because you stopped. Okay? So that's what you can do as a pair. Thank you very much, Laura. You did a great job. You can do, you can do it as a pair or you can do it singly. But you see what I'm saying? Think of a distraction, a way to create a distraction, a way to draw attention to the general vicinity so that they stop. Okay? And then consider recording it. And nobody has to know that you recorded it. Okay? It really will go a long way and it'll help. All right? You can even wait till you get home and talk to your parent, maybe let your parent record it. Okay? Friends. If you're friends with a victim, they are never to blame, right? And don't judge them. Watch your body language, okay? They need to know you care about them. So we have to have an open body language. None of this arm crossing, toe tapping, hands on the hips type of thing, okay? Be supportive. Encourage and empower them, all right? Lift them up. Let them know they are awesome, they are wonderful. Because I'll tell you what, the abuser's beating them down. So they need you lifting them up. And sometimes they need a team. Okay? So yeah, encourage and empower them. Talk to them about talking to a trusted adult. Alright? Now I know you guys have trusted adults in your lives because you've got Taylor here, Jan, and Jan. You got myself, and whatnot. Your parents may very well have checked out the website and are familiar with this and everything. So yeah, talk to them about talking to a trusted adult. And if they say they don't have a trusted adult, lend them yours. More than likely they will help. And do not talk bad about the abuser. What do you think they're going to do if they talk bad about the abuser? Defend them. Yes. They will defend them. And what they'll do is they'll shut down. They'll shut down to you. Because they'll feel compelled to defend them. So basically, what they need you to do is just tell them how wonderful they are. Focus on the victim. Okay? The minute you start talking bad about the abuser, you just shifted your focus to the abuser. If the victim is talking bad about the abuser, don't join the party. Just sit there and nod and let them talk it out. Okay? But don't join that party because, it will work against you. If you are friends with an abuser, and only if you feel safe, consider talking to them about their behavior. Consider maybe a little intervention or something like that. Okay? Because oftentimes, y'all listen to each other more than you listen to adults, huh? Yeah. Sometimes if you were to tell your friend here, if I were to say, hey, that's not cool, you shouldn't act like that or whatever, you're going to go like, oh, yeah, whatever, lady. Right? Maybe, quite possibly. But then if you turn around and you say, hey, you know what? That is just so not cool. You know what I mean? It's very well possible she's going to listen to you. Okay? You guys can help each other out that way. But what you cannot do is you cannot take control of the situation. If you do, you cross that fine line. okay? You can't do that to the victim and you can't do it to the abuser. You really have to be careful there, all right? They get to decide. So how can you help yourself if you're a victim or if your behavior is abusive? If you're a victim, trust your instincts, okay? You ever get that little funky feeling inside that kind of tells you, you know, or maybe goosebumps about something or another? Yeah, if it don't feel right, it ain't right. Move on, okay? Go somewhere else or something like that. Say no to self-blame. Do not accept blame for someone else's bad behavior. No, it's not your fault that they're acting that way. If they say, well, if you didn't do that, I wouldn't get so mad. Oh, no, no, no. They are responsible for how they deal with the situation, not you. Whatever you did, they are responsible for dealing with it, okay? And know that you're not alone. Not only are there a lot of victims out there, but there are also a lot of people that want to help victims, like myself and advocates and whatnot, okay? Create a safety plan, which we'll go over in a minute. Focus on healing yourself and become a survivor, okay? Now, Daniel presented to Kaity as a victim, okay? Even though he was an abuser, he presented to Kaity as a victim, okay? She tried to fix him. Was it Katie's place to fix him? No. It was Daniel's place to fix him, right? The most Kaity could have done for him is help him when he would let her help him. Okay? All right? We have to keep that, into consideration. We can only fix ourselves. If your behavior is abusive, accept accountability for it. Yeah, absolutely. And think about this. If you're angry enough to hurt someone or something or even an animal, come on. Anger is a secondary emotion. All right? You got to figure out what got you there to begin with. And everybody gets angry, don't we? We all get angry. Okay? We do. I'm a grandmother. I have my grandbabies in the car and somebody cuts me off, man, I'll send me right through the roof. Okay? Yeah, inside I'm boiling because I'm just like, man, that fool could have made me wreck with my grandbabies in the car and they could have got hurt, right? But who's going to hear me if I start yelling and cussing at him? Are they going to hear me?
The children.
Yeah, the babies are going to hear me. Who's going to get scared? The babies, right? No, yeah. So what do? Take a deep breath. Actually, several of them. Yeah, count to 10. Take a deep breath. See, you can get angry. It's how you handle that anger that makes all the difference in the world. Taking a walk, walking away. It's all good. All right? The next one is understand the consequences, which we'll go over that. But one of the main consequences is they hurt somebody else. Okay? When someone's abusive, they hurt someone else. I don't know about you guys, but I sure don't get a good feeling when I accidentally hurt somebody else. I actually rolled up on my husband's heels in the grocery store the other day. Oh man, I just was mortified. I felt so bad. Can you remember how you felt? And I couldn't think of enough to say or do or whatever, you know what I mean, to try to make it all better and everything. But what I needed to do is I needed to think about how I was going to handle that situation differently from now on. Well, how about if I just pay attention to what I'm doing? Okay? Kind of thing, and not be so close to him and everything. Change your behavior and choose not to abuse because it is a choice. Okay? It absolutely is a choice. I'll give you an example. Me and my ex-husband, we were in an argument. It's a pretty heated argument. There were 2 drinking glasses on the table. He is a Milwaukee Brewers fan. And so one had a Milwaukee Brewers emblem on it. The other one had a Chicago Bears emblem on it. So he gets really angry at me. He picks up one of those glasses and he throws it at me. Which glass do you think he picked up and threw at me?
Bears.
Mm-hmm. Why did he pick up the Bears? Because it was my glass. He wanted to hurt me. But he had several choices, didn't he? Number 1 choice, he chose to pick up a glass. Number 2 choice, he chose which glass he was going to pick up. Number 3 choice, he chose where he was going to throw it. Because you know what, there were a whole lot of balls in that room. But he threw it at me. Okay? Educate yourself about healthy relationships, which we'll go over in a little bit. And consider seeking help. Develop a support system. Okay? Whether you're a victim or you're abusive, you need a support system. See, when I embarked on my journey to get healthy, okay, and no longer be abused, all right, and not allow that kind of behavior in my life anymore, yeah, that was a solitary decision, and that was a solitary journey that I embarked on, but I enlisted family and friends and whatnot to help keep me going in that direction, okay, and made sure they understand what my objective was, okay? All right, so options to safely exit an abusive relationship. Well, one thing I want you guys to understand is please don't take any of this lightly. Those warning signs, those red flags we went over a little bit ago, by themselves they may seem minor, but did you not see in the video how they evolved into the worst possible scenario? Yeah, okay? Worst possible scenario, and they evolved right there. So what you want to do is you want to talk with an adult. All right, if you realize you're in an abusive relationship and you want to get out of it, you want to talk with an adult. And with that adult, you want to let them help you navigate out of that relationship. Okay? Okay, this does a couple of things. All right? It lets the abuser know you've got a support system. Okay? And you're not by yourself. You're not on your own. Okay? And it also gives you a way to get out of the relationship in the best possible way. Okay? And everything like that. So it's easier for you. Okay? They will also help you develop a safety plan. Okay? And here are some things to consider. It depends on the circumstances, the people involved. Okay? But here are some suggestions. In our case, we changed Katie's phone number. Okay? Great. But see, what we didn't know about was star 67. It's a free service. Star 67 602 555 1212. It will block the number on the other end. Okay? They will have no idea who's calling. All right? He got her number within a day or so. Okay? So changing her phone number really didn't do any good because we didn't know what was out there to help. Him not get the number. Put the word out. Let your neighbor know. Let your family know. Let your friends know. Okay? That this person you are no longer seeing, you're no longer dealing with them. Because, see, our neighbors told us he was in the neighborhood stalking her, but that's not what they thought he was doing. Because all they knew is that Katie and him were dating. They had no idea they had split up. Okay? So they had no idea we didn't want him in the neighborhood. And they saw him as recent as the day before. Okay? Have a buddy system. Don't go anywhere alone. And I'm sorry if you feel like you're being babysat, but you know what? Your safety is more important than anything. Okay? Exercise caution when answering the door at home. Yeah, you should do that anyways, but especially at times like this. Make sure the contact information in school files is current as well as employer files. Make safe transportation arrangements. Contact the police and file a report if there's harassing behavior from the abuser or their friends. The day before we lost Katie, a girl named Violet texted Katie and said, "Why are you doing this to Daniel? This is all your fault. Can't you just let this go?" Let's break this down for a second. Was she not trying to let it go? I would say so, yeah. Was it her fault? Yeah, he's responsible for his behavior, right? And what in the world was she doing to him? No, she wasn't doing a dang thing to him. She wasn't doing anything. She was ignoring him. Okay? Now, it's real important that when you create a safety plan, that this is something you stick to, okay, for a while. Not just a few days, not just a few weeks, for a while, and I'll tell you why. It takes an average of 2 years for a victim to get rid of an abuser. An average of 2 years. Yeah. Okay? And did you know that the most dangerous time for a victim in an abusive relationship is when they end that relationship? When they're ending it. Okay? Their life just became 75% more dangerous. And in Katie's case, it's 100%, right? So keep those things in mind. And know your rights to protection, which is going to get us into Katie's Law, which was enacted September 30th, 2009. And it amended the domestic violence statute so that those in dating relationship have protection of the law so long as the relationship is romantic or sexual in nature. Now, not all dating relationships are sexual in nature, nor should they be. Okay? But what dating relationship is not romantic? Abusive. Well, a lot of people would say abusive, but believe it or not, some of the abusers think that there's some romance in there. Because remember in the beginning, they're real charming, right? The bottom line is dating is romantic. It's on Wikipedia. All right, so great. What kind of protection do you get under this law? Now, how many times did you see him assault her in public on the video? Several times, right? I'll have you know, 3 of those times, the police were called, a report was taken, but not once was he arrested. Okay? Now, Under this law enforcement with or without warrant may arrest an individual that committed the offense. So you think if this law was in effect and I knew about it, possible one of those 3 times he'd have been arrested? This is why I shared this information. Okay, because if you don't know that the law's on the book, you don't know what your rights are, right? Okay. Order of protection can be obtained. Awesome, because you saw in the video how we couldn't get an order of protection, right? Well, let me help you understand something. An order of protection is very similar to this. A piece of paper with words on it, right? Is this going to stop a bullet? Is this going to stop a beatdown? Okay, so what it is not is it's not a shield, okay? What it is a very important part of the safety plan. Because what it does is it says abuser, offender, do not go anywhere around the victim, okay? Stay away from the victim. Abuser, offender, do not contact the victim in any way, shape, form, or fashion, okay? And don't try to contact them through their friends or anybody else. Because if you do, you are in violation of this little piece of paper and you will go to jail, okay? Yeah. So it is a very important part of the safety plan, but it's not a shield. So do not get a false sense of security. All right? Now, firearms can be confiscated under an order of protection. What was he walking around our neighborhood with? Okay. Yeah. Would you believe he got that from the house he lived in? He absolutely did. Okay? He got it from the house he lived in. So it's possible that that firearm could have been confiscated. All right, make it just a little bit more difficult for him to do what he did on January 28th, okay? Law enforcement should provide certain information to the victim about an order of protection, injunction against harassment, local resources and the phone numbers for the police. There are resources out there. Katie's Way is one of them, but there were even resources when we were going through this. But see, we were in the forest and we couldn't see the trees, okay? We were way too deep in this. We needed help, okay? And I'm here to tell you there is help, all right? So please don't forget that. And then there's a 3 strikes rule to this law, 3 strikes version to it, whereas if somebody is charged and convicted under this law for a 3rd time, it should be a felony, okay? It is at the discretion of the prosecuting attorney, but it should be a felony. And I'll tell you what, I've worked on a couple of cases where the victims provided an impact statement, and these are actually first offense cases. The felony did stick. One of them got 7.5 years in prison, the other one got a year in prison. Okay? So victims do have the power. They just need to understand that. All right? But it is their choice, right? We shouldn't try to push them into doing anything they don't feel comfortable doing because they've already been pushed into a lot. Yes? This particular law is in Arizona, and I believe it's also in Minnesota. It's patterned behind the Minnesota law. There are 44 states in the union that have similar laws. Okay? But that means there's also 6 states and all the reservations that not necessarily. Okay, good question. Thank you. All right, so what are the elements of a healthy relationship? All right? Here are the elements of a healthy relationship. It starts off with patience, empathy, acceptance, caring, and equality. All right? What does that spell? Yay! Okay? And in every relationship, we all have certain rights and responsibilities. Okay? Now, I want you guys to understand, this is just not, it's not only applicable for dating relationships, it's applicable for all relationships. The relationships you have with your friends, the relationships you have with your family, the relationships you have with your teachers, coaches, even the Circle K guy that you're buying gum from. That's a momentary relationship. Honestly, it really is, because you know what? You want your gum, right? They want their money, don't they? Give and take right there. You gotta have, because you're not gonna get your gum if you don't give them the money. Okay? So yeah. All right, so we'll start with patience. You have the right to take your time and decide when or where you want to do something or become part of a relationship. Absolutely. Okay? Do not feel pressured to be involved in any situation. Don't feel pressured to be in a relationship. All right? Take your time. Get to know people. Have fun. Okay? Now, you have the responsibility to be patient and respect a person's position in any situation. There again, you have to give that as well as you expect it for your right? So if somebody doesn't want to do something or be a part of something, it's all right. It's not you, it's them. It really is. It is, So just believe that. Empathy. You have the right to be with someone who takes the time to try to understand your feelings, but you have the responsibility to try to understand theirs. Now, you're not always going to be able to completely understand, but you have to kind of try to feel it, all right? Try to get with them on it, all right? I mean, feelings are valid because there are feelings, right? Can anybody tell you how to feel about something? No. Or how you should feel about something? No. How do you feel about that? Yeah, we got all kinds of happy faces and stuff like that. I heard people say hungry. But see, these make me sad. So does that make me a crybaby? Okay? Should I have a problem with you guys because it makes you happy or hungry? No. You know, because we're all entitled to our own feelings. Acceptance. You have the right to be accepted for who you are. Yes, always. Be who you are. Be honest with yourself. And just continue to be that person. You know? And you should be accepted for that. But you also have the responsibility to accept the person in your life for who they are. And don't try to change them. Don't try to make them out into what, something else or something like that. Okay? They are who they are. Now, this does not mean that if you're in a relationship with somebody that's abusive, that you have to accept them for who they are. No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is if you are in a relationship with somebody that is abusive and you're not willing to tolerate that behavior, move on. Okay? It's okay to move on. It really is. Caring. You have the right to be in a caring relationship that ensures that your opinions and ideas are your own and your boundaries are respected. Okay? But you have the responsibility to respect your partner's opinions and ideas as well as their boundaries. We all have opinions and ideas, don't we? Yeah? Aren't we entitled to them? Yeah, absolutely. Okay? And it's all right. We don't always have to agree. It's okay. But we also have boundaries, don't we? I mean, if somebody does or says something, I'll tell you something. Blonde jokes. I don't like blonde jokes. I just think. What? Oh yeah, your mama jokes. But blonde jokes really bother me. Okay, because I'm a blonde, and I am very, very intelligent. But most of them act like blondes are stupid. Okay, which is so wrong. Okay, I don't like them. So when somebody's telling a blonde joke, I walk away and get out of the picture, get away from it. Right? That's my prerogative. Now, if that person comes up to me and says, "Oh, Bobby, you got to hear this joke," well, no. Okay, I just heard you telling that joke over there, and I really don't want to hear it. Okay, I find it offensive. At that point, they need to walk away and leave me be. Okay, or they can talk to me about something else, but they don't need to be trying to tell me that joke. If they persist and try to tell me that joke anyways, they're crossing that boundary, and I find that to be a red flag. Okay, I get to decide what I want to listen to and deal with. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Equality. You have the right to be an equal party in your relationship, but you also have the responsibility to treat your partner as an equal party in the relationship. Absolutely. Okay? You both have something to bring to the relationship. All right? You're not going to be exactly alike or anything like that. You both are going to have different things to offer. My husband, very smart when it comes to accounting and finance. Okay? Me, legal. Two different things. When something financial goes on, hey, I defer to him and I talk to him. Okay? When something legal goes on, he defers to me and he talks to me. It's all good. All right? And we both have our own opinions and ideas about things. And would you believe in the 24 years that we've been friends and been together and stuff like that we've actually had our share of disagreements? Oh yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, he disagreed with me just the other day. Sometimes I don't know what he's thinking, but he did. But you get what I'm saying? And, and in those disagreements, sometimes we learn more about each other. Sometimes, but what we don't do is we don't argue. We don't fight. Okay? There are disagreements and they stay disagreements because we know we have a choice. All right? We can either agree to disagree or we can compromise. Yeah. We all have those choices. All right? And I'll give you an example. Several years back, we were going to go to the movies and he wanted to see Saw. Okay, total horror flick. And I wanted to see The Notebook. Total chick flick. Okay, totally on two opposite sides of the world, right? So what do? Well, agree to disagree? Well, if we were to agree to disagree, okay, honey, you want to see Saw? That's great. Go check out Saw with the boys. I'm going to grab the girls. We're going to go check out The Notebook. And I'll catch you later at home. Love you. Bye-bye. Have fun. Right? It's good. This particular evening, We chose to compromise because we wanted to hang out and be around each other, so we went and saw Transformers. Now, hear me out, okay? We've got, Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox, Boy Meet Girl, romance, right? You got Mojo the Chihuahua with his little broke leg and his bling, funny as anything, all right? Mom's funny too in the movie. And then you also have these awesome cars. Who doesn't like cars? I love cars. Okay, they turn into these wonderful robots. They save the universe, da 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 da. Yeah, you have your action and adventure. You know what I mean? Maybe not blood and everything like that, but it's all good. You know what I'm saying? But we had a great time. And the evening started off as a disagreement. But we had a wonderful time. So you get what I'm saying? It's not that difficult to have a healthy relationship. Okay? So, basically this brings us to the end of the presentation. Does anybody have any questions? Do we have time for questions and all that? Okay. Does anybody have any questions? You can ask me about Kaity's Way, Kaity's Law, Kaity's story, anything. I'll try to predict the weather. Yeah?
The sunflowers and horses, were those things that Kaity liked?
Yeah, actually, Kaity, when Kaity was 10 years old, I introduced her to the horse. And, talking about grooming them and everything, and she just fell in love with them. So much so that she learned how to ride. And she even learned how to acrobatically ride. She was learning how to flip on them and everything. Something I never even did. I got as close as barrel racing, okay? Wasn't very good at it at all. I actually got bucked off a Shetland pony too. But you know what I'm saying? She just really excelled in it. Sunflowers? Well, I have a story about sunflowers, okay? That why they make me sad. And it's all centered around Kaity. And basically, in October of 2007, Kaity came to me, because one of the things we used to do is garden together. And she came to me with a single sunflower seed. She said, Mom, there's an empty pot over there. Can I plant it? I was like, yeah, sure. Kind of wondered if it was even going to grow. But, it's okay. Yeah, go ahead and plant it. So she planted it. I said, now you need to make sure you water it and everything. And she did. Boy, she was very self-disciplined. Okay? So she watered that little seed and everything like that. And sure enough, it started coming right up out of the ground. And every couple of weeks, she's dragging me out there. She's like, Mom, go check it out. Look. She's just so excited. Has anybody ever planted anything? Isn't it really cool? Okay, to watch this thing grow. So she watches it grow, and sunflowers, they get nice big stalk, and they get the big old bud on it and everything like that, because they're big and they're massive, right? And she's just so excited about it. But see, the thing about this particular flower is she didn't get to see it bloom, because it didn't bloom until the day after she passed. Okay? And I've got to tell you, when I saw that flower bloom, that following day, it tore me to pieces. It was one of those things where she did all that work and she never got to see it bloom. But you know what? Then I really thought about it and I thought, you know what? She made it bloom. She's the one who did that. Okay? And I looked at it as she was telling me, Mama, I'm good. Okay? You need to take care of yourself and take care of the family. So this flower, it hangs around for a while, and eventually it dries up, okay? Never took it out of the pot. The wind did, because I couldn't do that, right? So when the wind took it out of the pot, it blew its seeds all over my yard. And in the spring and the summer of 2008, and this has never happened again, those flowers popped up, and I didn't plant one of those seeds. Not one. Who planted those seeds? Kaity planted those seeds. Okay? So that's why they make me sad, because I miss her. And I see sunflowers in the oddest places. I mean, it'll be a single sunflower. But see, what that tells me is you've got one girl, one seed, one flower, and then all of these. And Kaity's still with us, planting seeds. Okay, and hopefully her story will help you, okay, as you grow and you have your relationships and whatnot. Okay, so hopefully you'll remember. Okay? Yes?
Is that tattoo on your arm with Kaity?
Yes, this actually is a tattoo of Kaity. It was the last picture taken of her. It was taken 8 days before she passed. It was taken on January 20th at my nephew's birthday party. So, and I had it morphed into an angel, a wing and a navel right here. So, any other questions? Yes?
Earlier when you were saying that
Yeah, because he wanted her to forgive him. So he was on his best behavior for as long as he could be. Okay? Does that make sense? Yes?
So in the video, they talked about how his mom actually called the police with the threat.
Yes.
Did you guys ever try approaching his parents, or were they
Um,
involved at all in the video?
Yeah, as far as I know, not really. Not really. Yeah, the environment that he was brought up in, what I understand, was not the best of environments. Yeah, so, and we never did meet his family or anything like that. But I do suggest for parents that if your child is dating somebody, if you guys are dating somebody for like a month, isn't that like a good amount of time? Kind of, sort of. You know, but at the end of a month, you're usually kind of liking them, right? You gotta be liking them to be dating for a month, don't you think? Okay? So, you know, I mean, so it's kind of a big deal at that point. So I would suggest, and kids, I know this is going to mortify you, but I totally suggest that, you know what, parents, ask the other family to meet up with you at the park and have a barbecue. So you can check out the dynamic between the other parents, what's going on in the other household. What's going on between the kids and the parents, the kids and the kids, the parents and the parents, and all of that. You know what I mean? Assess that. Not a bad thing to do at all. You know, maybe they want to do the same with you. Thanks, great question. Any other questions? Well, I want to let you guys know that up here we have I have a lot of literature. I have the peace rights and responsibilities and then the information about Kaity's law. Okay, I will tell you that not every law enforcement officer knows about Kaity's law because nobody knows about all the laws. Okay, so if you have this on your person and you're ever having to call the police out because of this, you can always show them this. There's a lot of law enforcement agencies that know about our program. Okay, so Kaity's law right here, peace rights and responsibilities. Then we have the team power and control wheel. This is kind of a little more of a visual of the red flags. Okay, power and control and whatnot. On the back here, did y'all know that sexting was against the law? Yeah, sexting is definitely against the law. And there's more information right here about the Arizona law. We just kind of put that up there. Then we also have our brochure, okay, that goes over, it lists the red flags. It also talks about, kind of defines violence and relationships, as well as options to safely exit an abusive relationship. Okay, just a little bit of information, stuff for enforcement. If you know someone, or you know, we go to schools, we go to youth organizations, we go just anywhere and everywhere. We have a parent presentation that we do. We have a presentation for law enforcement advocates. You know, anybody that wants to help or anything like that. And we're always looking for volunteers. So anybody that's interested in volunteering or needs to get some community hours, we always have opportunities. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Taylor if nobody else has any questions.
Let's give her a round of applause.